It is.
Okay. How long have you been teaching?
26 years. This is my 26th year.
What grades have you taught?
My first year, I had a half a semester of middle school where I taught. Back then, Scott was what was called Connect, so it was 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. So I taught an honors reading class. I taught the very low reading class for a couple hours a day, and I taught a music class because they needed a teacher to do both, but they weren't going to hire a music teacher just for one class, and so they needed a reading teacher. So that's how I got my foot in the door. That was my first job, and then I went to La-Wedia Elementary. The principal at my first job recommended me to get hired over there. I was there 9 years, and I've been here at Morgan Elementary ever since. This is the school I went to as a child. I really wanted to come here when I first started teaching, but there was no openings. So I got to go to a school. I teach at a school that I went to as a kid, which is, I think is kind of cool. And I still live in the neighborhood, so this is like
Easy.
giving back to my community. I feel like I'd rather give more to where I live and help the community I live in than like teach out in Holborn or someplace like that.
Jarrell Hutton, please come to the office. Jarrell Hutton, please come to the office.
What else you got?
When did you start to use technology in your classroom?
Well, let's see. I wanted to use it sooner than I could because the school I was at, Lafayette, they didn't have it. The only technology they had was 4 computers in the library, which drove me nuts as a person who loves technology, because you got to remember, when I first started teaching, there was no internet, okay? So our biggest technology was show a video, or the VCR, I guess, was high-tech technology. Then we went to DVD. I mean, that was the highest tech we had with a TV. I didn't even have a TV in my classroom when I first started teaching. I bought one at a rummage sale and took it into my classroom, and we would use that, and I got a VCR from the school, so I was one of the high-tech rooms on the floor at that time, because I was the only classroom that had a TV when 9/11, the towers went down. I was all the teachers were in my room watching the TV in my room, because I was the only room that had a TV. So it was kind of helpful. Here, now the technology's more, I loved it. Well, I was until this year always on the technology team. For some reason, my principal put me on a different team. But I use technology all the time. I mean, all our new, as you can see, here's my math teacher's book. Technology is incorporated. With e-learning days, we need the technology. My students can get everything I teach slide by slide or screen by screen and repeat the lesson with their parents at home now with this new math problem. And they can watch videos from a teacher, like Destiny. She could use more of that at home. I mean, to review these, to help bring her grades up and stuff. If more students utilized our technology, I think grades would go up. I really, really do. But like I said, it didn't take until I came to Morton Elementary after 10 years of teaching before I really got to use technology. Because Morton this school right here was one of the first newer schools. In 1993 it opened, and I did my student teaching here. And I was so excited as a teacher to come in here, because the teacher I did my student teaching with was dissecting frogs on the computers. They were the brand new apples when Apple first came out. You remember those old green ones? They were, wow, that is so cool to dissect them. And the kids were all getting into it. Okay, and I only student taught with her a couple hours a day, and then my homeroom, or whatever, the one I was supposed to be with full time, she never touched it. She couldn't even, she got yelled at by the principal to start checking her emails because she was so afraid of technology. So this is where you saw the old guard coming in with the new guard. Even though I started teaching late in life, I was in my late 30s when I became a teacher, and these teachers were almost in their 60s. They just didn't want to touch the technology. I was craving it. And then I go to a school, Lafayette, that has none. I was heartbroken when I went there.
Wow.
And the 4 computers in the library, I utilized all the time. And the librarian person knew how much I wanted to learn technology. She sent me out to all the workshops, but we just never had it in the building. But like I said, when I came here, this was like the brand new school, and people from all over the country were coming at this school looking how it was designed and built. Because we built 3 of them at the same time in Hammond. Morton, Maywood, and Edison. They're all clones of each other. And this was the brand new technology. Because I heard about, oh, from your home you can make copies and then print and have it waiting for you. That never happened, but it was supposed to. It has never happened. But a lot of things I can do from home now. I don't have to take my briefcase home and all my books. All I have to do is take my papers home and I open up my computer and there's all the answers. You know, and if I want to plan lesson planning, I don't need my lesson plan book. It's all on the computers now. I mean, it's so technology to me is wonderful.
Yeah.
If I ramble, just let me know. I have a tendency to do it. Right. What else?
Now, did you receive training on how to use the technology?
Well, there's the fun part about it. When I was younger, they would send us, Hammond had this thing you could go to in the summer where, like, if you want to learn how to use Microsoft Word or PowerPoint, because that was the new stuff at the time, they offered workshops performed by teachers who were really good at it. Now, we get this brand new technology. We get a brand new grading system, brand new math system, and we go to a 2-hour workshop, and they throw it all at you at once, but it's not training. The only training you can truly get is the videos, and you have to do it yourself now. The Promethean board, when we got those, we were all happy about it, but nobody knew how to use it. Nobody. We had little ideas, turn it on, and whatever on my computer screen. That's what some teachers in this building still use it for, only as a big projection screen. I went on YouTube, started watching the video. As I watched it, I would do the operation on screen. I became so proficient at it, my principal asked me to teach the other teachers, which I told her I'll never do again because it was like teaching my math class. No one's paying attention to me when I'm teaching and they're all talking. And then the following week when they're trying to do something, they're calling me in my classroom, bothering me. Hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? And I go, well, I showed you all in class. Well, I don't remember. I was talking to so-and-so, and that's why I told the principal, I can't do that. I don't want to show people and they're not going to listen.
Yeah.
If you want to give me 5 people at a time, I'll be glad to do that. And they can go back, like one person from each grade level, go back and show their team. I'll be glad to do that. But again, they don't give us no help nowadays. We're hurting for so much in Hammond's hurting for money so bad. They cut everything anywhere they can, and workshops is out the door. We used to get PGP points, towards our license. We don't get those anymore for training. Well, if we do it here in the building, we could get them, but like I said, no more summer workshops, nothing like that. And our new superintendent, that's one of the things I talked to him about. Train me. Like this new math, it has such cool videos. It has interactive videos, and it asks all the important questions, like what the kids should be learning that day, the main objectives. And it does it in a fun way, which gets, kids today with all the video games, you gotta get to zoom, zoom, it makes the sounds, and a robot comes in there, hey kids, and it's got the real cool looking, like you can see how it's got the boy looking cool, and that's the way, they're all real like hip little kids, and you gotta get their attention. And if you don't do it through this technology, you're lost. Like, talk about technology, just a little bit off of what we do. We have a teacher here, and I'm telling you, if you ever get a chance, you need to interview someone else about technology or anything else, see if you can get Miss Sturzak in first grade. Here's a first grade teacher, you talk about dedication. She's the first teacher here in the morning, and we're talking as soon as the building's open, 6:30. You drive by here 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, she's still here, Monday through Friday. She never leaves.
Wow.
I team up with her first grade class. We're doing Google Slides with first graders. These kids know how to take their picture, put it in their work, type their answers, and first graders. She's one of the first grade teachers that believes that kids should have technology and use it. So by the time they get to 5th grade, it's second nature. You don't even think about, because this is me typing. I'm a 2-finger typer, but I'm pretty fast. But to watch the kids do it, it's like it's torture to watch them. We have typing programs, but we don't get them on enough when they're younger. And Sturzak, she teaches it all to them. Now, if we could clone them at Sturzak in every grade level and get them to do that, technology for what we pay for, the benefits we would get would really be great. but we don't have every teacher teaching that way. You know, everybody's different. Some feel real comfortable. She's our webmaster. Check out our webpage sometimes. See how cool it is. And she updates it every day. If something we had back to school night on Thursday, Friday, pictures of the whole event was there. You know, we got a new principal. Next day there's a picture of her whole details about it. Our new vice principal, all the details are there. I mean, she's instant about it. Because she's like I said, one of the most dedicated teachers I ever met. If I had a kid in first grade, that's the one I put in. Because everywhere you look in a room is learning. Every inch of the room is used for learning. And the kids are so, you know, outgoing. You don't have any introverts in her room. They learn how to be. They spread out to the other second grades, and those kids become leaders. And the time I get them in fifth grade, they're like all spread out, you know, so you don't get them all, but you get one or two or three, you know, and you could tell that they had Mr. Zach for first grade, even 4 years later. She influences them that much. So technology really is a benefit if we utilize it well. We got it, we don't utilize it well. And it, like I said, these kids would rather go on their computers than do anything else. We even have this little program that when I click on it, because I have to do this, I can click here, and it's going to put every, the sun's in my house, that's what I'm doing.
Can Ira Parker to the office, please? Can Ira Parker please come to the office?
So if I go to my little list, you got to save your class list each year. And I click on it. Right now you won't see much. These computers freaked out. If the kids were on their computers, it would tell me everything they're on. So it'd show me their exact screen, and I could click on it and see what Jaden Dobie's up to. Because you'd be surprised. Like we had, when a teacher's absent and we don't have a sub to cover them, we divide up the kids. I had 4 little fourth graders sitting here today, and one was on YouTube, and I knew right away, you know, because it would show up to me. So once I tell the kids I have that the first couple of weeks of school, and I just put it on my screen while they're on their computers, because we do a thing, speaking of technology, we departmentalize in 5th grade here. So I teach 2 low math groups. My coworker teaches the 2 high math groups. Miss King teaches the 2 low reading groups, and Miss Hoffman teaches the 2 high math groups. So from like 10 to 12:45, the kids switch, they go to the reading and math, just like middle school. And then we use the technology in each class. Each one of us uses technology differently. But on Fridays, we put all our work into, we call Flex Friday. All the assignments are in Google Classroom. And the kids have to go in there all day long. That's all they do is Google Classroom. Because you know, you haven't been out of high school probably that long. My kid just graduated. All he ever did was Google this, Google that. All his teachers had a classroom. I liked it because when he was doing papers, like he'd be at school and says, hey, he'd shoot it to me real quick here and say, edit it for me. See, did I do a good job? Did you see any mistakes? And I'd shoot it right back to him. I think that's a great advantage to kids today that I never had, you know. I mean, I took typing class in high school because I needed an extra credit, and there was a lot of girls in the class. That's the only reason I did it. And I hated it because I even bribed the girl next to me. She typed so fast she could type 2 in the time I typed 1, and sometimes she would do 2 and give me an answer sometimes. But today, the computerizing stuff you can do in school, boy. I mean, kids today are getting college credits in middle school now. I mean, in high school, I would have graduated at 15 if I would have known that, you know. I would have tried. So technology today, your generation, and I tell these kids all the time, have the biggest advantage over anybody. You can soar through school if you want to. And same with college, I bet you can graduate a lot faster than it was when I went. I mean, if you want to put your work in, you can get it done fast, right? But I know how you guys work so much harder than when I graduated. What you have to go through is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, they really put you through the ringer nowadays.
Yeah.
And compared to like when I graduated high school, I needed 32 credit hours. 32. So that's what, 8 a year? 4 each half a year? 4 classes, 8 classes a year. Now you go there, you need 42 core and this and all.
Yeah.
That confuses the heck out of me. I'm looking at my kids' stuff and I'm going, what is that? All right. Any more questions on technology? Or go down your list, I don't. I'm in no hurry. My kid's always hungry when they go home.
Okay, that's a good one. How do students who are learning with technology compare to students who haven't learned with technology? So like going back to how you said the one first grade teacher, how are her students different than the others that haven't had that?
Well, the biggest difference I noticed, they're not afraid to click, get on and start right away, to just go at it and just go for it. Other kids, it takes the slowing down of the teaching process, just waiting for them to load it, to find which buttons to press. And that's just like for Google Slides or something. Now the kids that are exposed to like using it for like research, say like we do a Native American and a planet report. That's our 2 big reports throughout the year. Now kids today that are really good at it know right away how to make a report. I always tell them we're going to do it on Google Slides. I watch the kids who came up using like a Mr. Zach's kids. And we got teachers in every grade level are pretty tech savvy, but not like Mr. Zach. So those kids go through every one of those grades. I mean, they'll have their report with the planet spinning, real great graphics, and then you'll get the kid who's really plain and generic because they don't understand the bells and whistles, and these other kids have explored it 1,000 times, like PowerPoint. I mean, first time I did PowerPoint, my first PowerPoint was very generic. Now I can do PowerPoint with all the bells and whistles and the fade in, fade out, all that stuff. And really, then the research part. Kids know how, like we do dictionary.com. Well, when I went to school, you had to, find a word, find the root part of it and all that. These kids can do 20 words in 15 minutes probably because of dictionary.com. And they learn how to do that. A lot of times, there's new theories. Why make them use pencil and paper in math? Why don't you just give them calculators? Some people say that. Because in the real life, they're just going to use calculators anyway, right? I disagree with that theory because in real life, we make it, like I tell the story about my little brother. I worked at, it's Dunkin' Donuts now. There used to be a gas station up there on Kennedy. It was Clark Gas Station. When I was in college, I worked there. I was the assistant manager. I hired my younger brother. I have 4 brothers, none of them graduated high school. Well, 3 brothers, I'm the 4th one. I'm the only one in my family going to college and graduate high school. So I'm like the brains of the family, so to speak. I hired my younger brother who really stopped going to school in 8th grade. And back then it was full service. And I had one island, he had the other. And after a couple of weeks of working, we kept coming up short money, $10, $20. And if you don't have it, you have to take it out of your own pocket or you lose your job. Then I noticed 4 cars over here, 6 cars over here. Next day, less cars at my island. Everybody's like, you can come over here. No, I'm good over here. Then I realized what was gone. People were taking advantage of my brother's math skills. They wanted quick change artists, like, give me change for a 20. I want 2 5s, a 10, and 5 singles. That's $25. But my brother, they kept doing that to him, and we kept coming up short all the time. So I tell the kids, you got to be able to count money. People will take advantage of you. There's a gas station right by my house. When I used to send my 2 little boys up there, my oldest was real good at math. He always come back with the correct change. My youngest, not so good. He got ripped off all the time because they knew he couldn't add. And I tell the kids all the time, I had to fire my brother. My mom wasn't happy because he was helping pay rent at home. But it's either that or my $120 paycheck every week was down to 70 or 80 because we're covering the mistakes he's making. And I tell the kids that all the time. That's why you got to learn how to do pencil and paper math besides just calculator. Because the future's going to be that way. Kids are going to forget how to do everything with technology. That's the bad part of technology. The laziness it creates. It creates lazy kids because they don't want to put in the extra work. Like I give this quiz. 5 questions. It's usually 3 vocab and 2 questions. After every day we do social studies. And we read and do it on the technology. It's on the screen. They can have it on a computer and follow along. I don't do that as much because the kids fool around on the computer when we're doing it. So if I put it on a big TV, they're all more or less paying attention. So we have just like a 1, 2, and it's interactive. I press a little thing and it talks to them, and we draw on the screen. Okay, interactive. They can do the same thing like I said. And then there's 2 vocab words. I stop and talk about them. I stop and discuss each one of those questions. I give them 10 minutes to study it, and then I give them a quiz. Most kids get 25 out of 25. Some kids don't even get the vocabulary right. I said, today, anybody gets vocabulary wrong, there's gotta be, all you gotta really memorize is 1, I told them. Because if you know 1,
You
got the other. And there's a couple kids that got them both wrong. But, that's what I mean. They're too lazy to go in, and as we read, I click on the word, the technology, the word commerce. You click on it, it gives you the definition. But they're too lazy to go back, and I said, go back, click on the words, you know, go on your Chromebook, click on the words, look at everything. Most kids won't even do that. They'd rather take that quiz grade of whatever, a D. Destiny, or she's not always the one paying attention at, because we do it at the end of the day. And with Destiny, and just like other kids, you know, everything starts, at the end of the day, it's rough for her, because, you know, for her condition with her medicine and stuff. I have quite a few, and that's another thing in today's kids, so many are on medicine. And their meds, because both of my kids were on medicine, and I know what it's like at 3 o'clock, they start coming down. And they start getting more hyper and jittery, and the concentration level's not there. And I understand that. That's why I try to keep her focused in the ones like that. All right, I call on her to keep her tuned in or whatever. But when it comes to the quiz time, they won't give that 10 minutes of study time. They're ready to take the quiz right away and get them wrong. But I incorporate technology and grammar. I put the grammar sheet up there that we're doing. Say like, this can be put up on the screen. Have kids go to the board, they can circle, they can X out, they can write the right answers in. Math, I've already explained math. Social studies, we do science. We haven't had a new science series in like 10 years. I'd love to see a new science series that was real interactive, where we could do cool things on the computer. That adoption's either this year or next year. I can't wait for that, because I love teaching social studies, I love teaching science, I love teaching math. I hate teaching reading, I hate teaching writing. Because the kids hate to read, kids hate to write. It's like pulling teeth. Now math, most kids kind of like math. I mean, they're not always great at it, but they accept it. Social studies and science kids love, because they get to learn about the past in science. So I think, and I'm like that too, you know, I follow that. Okay.
In your opinion, how is technology beneficial to your students' education?
Well, they have the ability to find the answers to everything. Just about, right? As a teacher, I don't know the answers to everything. I say it all the time. You know, I don't know. But you know what I have now? I go like this. I flip my phone. I go to, you know who I'm going to, Google Assistant or Siri or whatever you have. I'll ask the question. Kids today, you know, like the Vantage. Oh, I guess this is kind of a disadvantage too. When I was young and I wanted to find an answer, something I would open up a book. And sometimes in that book I would find something else I liked and read about it, right? Today, with technology, we ask the question, it gives you just that answer. Now, could you also find something else to discover along the way? I'm sure you could. But what else? With a book in your hand, you just seem to can explore more. But there's no reason for a kid who's allowed to use the technology can't find an answer to something, you know, or for a kid to start. Like when we do the reports, we used to get out the encyclopedias, and the reports were so boring, because every kid, you had 4 kids do on Pluto, you know they're all going to say the same thing from an encyclopedia, right? How many moons it has, what's the surface like. But if you give a kid a chance to do it with technology, He'll show you a satellite over
This Thursday, please call the office.
They'll show you the moons, you know, and real cool graphics, because now you can go to NASA and download little videos of the planet. I mean, that's the cool part about technology and how it really helps them learn. They can go find everything. I mean, even myself, I'm not the handiest person when it comes to building things, but when I have a question on how to do it, I Google it. I'll go to YouTube and get a video, and I stop it, I watch it. I'm the robotics coach. Well, we haven't done it in the last 2 years, but for years, I didn't know nothing about it. First year we went to competition, I felt like the dumbest person in the world. All these other teams are doing so well, and we look pathetic. I don't like to look stupid. So that following summer off, I went on YouTube and started watching all these competitions around the world, and then I started corresponding with coaches around the world and watching their videos and slowing them down, and I started building the cars just like they built, and exactly just from watching YouTube videos, our team, our last 3 years, we were in the top 5 in the state. Yeah, we did this cool thing we did on salmonella poisoning, and we had a teacher here, his name was Mr. Liskey. He was a gifted writer, older man, and his son ran the whole robotics program. Anyway, we took this on Staying Alive, because in robotics you have to come up with a skit to display your problem, and you also have to come up with research to explain your problem and a way to solve your problem. So we were going to solve salmonella poisoning. So Mr. Liskey wrote a song with the music Staying Alive, and we had one kid dressed up like chicken, and we had another guy in a suit and a hat. He played the evil poison guy, and we had dance routines. The whole I choreographed it, and we had 8 kids, and we did the routine and with the little skit and had the music going. And we wrote the whole lyrics, but Staying Alive, we just kept that about eating eggs and everything else. But it was the coolest thing I ever did in robotics. Everywhere we went to IUPUI in Fort Wayne, and there's like 5,000 people in the audience, and they asked us to do it in front of all of them. And the kids did it, and we got a standing ovation. We got the judges loved us, and our robotic car did so-so, but you don't get judged on just your car in the car, because you got to go on this table and do like, in 2.5 minutes, you have to complete like 13 missions, like take this thing, move it over here, take this, lift it up, identify colors, come back here, go, and in all in 2.5 minutes. It's real, stressful. It is. I took the stuff home because both of my boys were on it. Every weekend we would take all the stuff home and we would practice at home. I would stay up 4 or 5 in the morning reprogramming the cars just to see how they work. And my brother, who helped me out, he'd tell me I was nuts because you're into it too much. But that's the way I am. If I want to learn something, I want to master it. And the technology, I learned it all in a year, and then I became one of the best coaches around, because we'd have a little competition here, and it was like a little clique. Oh, you didn't do too well. This school won. Then when we go to IU for the state competition, that school didn't win. We did, and we're getting all the big applause. So I always told the kids, don't worry about the little Hammond competition. It's the state and the final. And like, we would watch video on video. Another year, we designed how to stop flooding in our area because of all the rain. We took the old golf course on Klein Avenue. We got an engineer from Purdue. We had the smartest kid I've ever taught, probably. He came up with an idea. The river runs right next to the golf course. If we built a little, program the thing, as soon as water hit the super thing, it would open up and you could flood the old golf course to relieve the pressure on the little Calumet River right here. And he programmed it all out and drew pictures of it. We had the engineer from Purdue, an Indian guy, he came over and this little boy showed him his diagram and said, and that guy looked at me and he looked at the kid and he goes, when are you coming to our school? Because he goes, I think you could be in my program right now because this will work. This will work. We got that professor to sign off on it because that's what they really care about when you go to these competitions. Are you able to solve this world problem of flooding? And it worked. And it's through the technology. Again, we had to use computers to simulate a program. We had to watch videos of different things. And these kids come up with these problems. What do you want to do to help? We had to come up with something to help your community. These kids brainstormed, got on the computers, looked at, typed in what is the biggest problems the Calumet region faces, and flooding was the number 1 thing. We used technology, and I'm telling you, it's wonderful when you see kids who love to learn for one. Because as a teacher, you're going to see more adult. Yeah. And that's the sad part. I love to see a kid when he goes, I got it, that aha moment. Yeah. I love that. That's the best part about teaching for me. And you don't get a lot of those. That's the sad part. Nowadays, our school has changed in the 10, 14 years I've been here. It's changed a lot for the last 3 years. And we're not getting all the kids who have parents who stay and do their homework with them. You're getting parents, both parents work. If there are both parents, we're getting a lot of single parents. We're getting a lot of grandparents raising kids. Like in my case, when I got my 2 boys, they're not my biological kids, they're my biological great nephews, but their parents died. They either the orphanage or me, or my family. And my house was just me and by myself. And I have a big house, so I brought in 2 little boys. And I've been raising now 19 and almost 20 and 19 they're gonna be. And I got them when they're 5 and 3. But it's the world, it's the way it is. Grandparents raising babies. Yeah. Babies raising babies. Young moms raising babies that can't handle the work because they didn't graduate high school. They don't get it. So everything is not the way it was when I went to school. Dads worked, moms stayed home. Most moms did the housework, helped you with your homework. Everything was that way. Now it's not that way. Technology is their babysitter, if you think about it. How many parents put their kids on the computers when they get home? Or even I watch my 2 nephews when they're little, their mom used to put them in front of the TV. Just so they wouldn't do nothing. Just sit there and watch TV all day, which is the worst thing for them. But nowadays, kids are on their computers as soon as they get home, aren't they? Or this is a computer. This has more brain power than any. My first computer I spent like $1,500 on. This has more brain power than that. So technology, it's everywhere. We can use it 24/7.
How do you see technology affecting students' social skills or lack of?
That is a good question. I think it's affecting them in a negative way. Because kids don't know how to talk to people. I'm getting less and less kids raising their hand for answers. Or kids need an instant feedback all the time with like all the games they play. It's instant. And if you don't give them an instant feedback, like if they have to do something, I have kids that are helping a child at my desk, and another child would come up and want me to just stop everything I'm doing and instantly. And I think that's from video games and everything else, because everything's boom, boom, you get what you want right away. They don't know how to communicate one-on-one. Their thumbs are fat from all this stuff, and they don't know how to sit down and have a conversation. Actually, today, I tried to do this with my class. We went to the library, and we have that big pit in the library, and I let a few kids at a time go get books, and some kids asked me, why is our school looking so bad outside? Because the weeds are everywhere and the grass is real high, and it never used to look like that. Well, with all the cutbacks in Hammond, they had to cut back the people who cut the grass and cut down the crews. They're not one, like it used to be. Well, we're lucky if they come by once in a while. And our custodian has to go out and do the weed pulling and the weed whacking and all that. So I told them about when I was in high school, Earth Day just started happening. It was the first year of Earth Day. And we used to form community cleanups, like where Planet Fitness is over there. Behind that used to be a movie theater. And in a movie theater, people all just throw the garbage out the window, and along the river there, garbage was piling up. So our group at Morton High, we went over there and we cleaned up all along the river, and that became an annual thing. And I explained to them, maybe we could sit there and trying to have a conversation with them. They couldn't even conversate with me. They're so used to, I think, not having to look at you, because eye contact with kids is very rare too. I mean, you got the social butterflies. Like I got a little girl in my room loves to talk to everybody, and she's on social media all the time. Instagram, Snapchat, you know, like my nephew. He doesn't watch TV. He hasn't watched TV in years. I mean years. YouTube videos is all he watches. And the only way he communicates with people is through Snapchat. He doesn't use Facebook, but he says that's the way all the kids are now. It's Snapchat. You know, your quick little chop up the words. You know how you abbreviate everything. And he's got a big screen TV, not as big as that, but in his bedroom. It's never on, unless he's playing a video game or watching a video, YouTube video, which is hooked up through his computer. And he says that's how kids today. I don't know. I don't hang around with kids today. You're probably closer to kids today than I am. But the TV thing, that I have direct TV, and I had TVs in, you know, I have a big house, so I had one in their bedroom, my bedroom, living room, family room, and then one for kind of went outside at in the summer. Nobody was watching TV but me and my bill. You know, you have to pay for each one of those boxes in each room. So I eliminated them all but one. And he never even knew I did it. Never even knew I did it. So I think it's affected their social skills negatively. I really wish we could figure out, find that happy app that where people would socialize with. You know what else it has affected too? My age group. Social media and politics. You know, if you want to get into all the fake stuff, I'm amazed how many people believe everything they hear on social media without checking to see if it's even true. You know, because you could put anything in social media and look like it's comes from ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN. You can put a logo on anything. I have friends that are very intelligent people that believe everything they hear. It just fries my circuits. You can probably tell I'm not a Trump supporter by the way I'm leaning, but I cannot believe I have friends with master's degrees that believe some of this stuff. And how can they accept it? And you know as well as I know, if it was back when our last president was in charge, and anything that this guy has done that Obama would have done, the Republicans would have screamed for his head. And I just tears me apart how social media. I have a friend who says, I saw it on Facebook, and it's true. Because I go, I go, remember they're saying the Russians put all that stuff on Facebook? And I don't know. I just can't believe how some people are so gullible with it. And like I said, as far as socialization, come on in. You must be done. Okay? I just think it's negative in a lot of ways. For adults, kids, it's just negative. There's too much negativity in it. All right, what else we got?
I think that's everything.
Yeah,
Do you
I
think
think
so?
we covered everything as far as the questions.
Perfect timing then.
Yeah.
What you doing, Miss Camilleri?
We were